Assalamu alaikum and sabah al khair. Welcome and good morning. I think what you've seen is something that is very close to my heart, and I'm very grateful to God Almighty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He gave me the opportunity that I could do these things. And we do a lot of things. It's not nice for me to talk about myself, but I think like the Nike ad, it says, just do it, with the little sign. It's a passion of mine to feed hungry people. In Pakistan, we have about 700 to 1,000 on a Friday being fed every day, 365 days a year. Here, about 200, and the housing with Salvation Army. By the way, that's 4 years old, so you can see I've grown older, and it's 8 years now that I've been with Salvation Army doing that. But the ACHN project was actually started in 1995 in Islamabad in a small clinic called Kulsum Free Clinic, my mother's name. And it was in a mosque, in a masjid, and the imam of the masjid it was a Shia mosque, but I told him, he asked me one day, we became good friends, and he said, can you build me a small clinic that I can, there are so many Afghans and others who were, at that time and still today, who need help. So I said, okay, but only if you allow all faiths to come in. He said, sure, Hada. What do you mean all faiths? I have the first Jamaat on Friday is for Sunni first, and then the second Jamaat is for Shia. I said, Yalla, khalas, we go. So this is the spirit of, we've been reaching out to. We started that in Islamabad, and it became very popular. Then we tried it in Chantilly, Virginia, at Adams, with my good friend Imam Majid. And I just want to announce here today that I will be joining hands with UMAA to help in pushing the clinic that they already have with one room and making it larger and bigger in Maryland. And I would request all of you, there are so many doctors here and so many imams and scholars that if you're associated with the masjid, what a lovely way to have that anybody who comes there to purify his soul for the dua and the dawa aspect of things. I think it really, really helps. And I've watched it grow in the last 22, 21 years. It really does help. So I would encourage that. But let me just start this morning by trying to pick on your brain. What power do we have? Where we are born, which home we are born in, who are going to be our parents, our siblings, brothers and sisters. Are we going to be healthy when we are born? What religion or deen in that home that we are born in? Do we have any power over that? Zero. At least to my knowledge, I don't know. And then we don't know as we go along that, are we going to be happily married and have children and see our grandchildren and let them grow and be around to do khidmat to our parents? As you know that a lot of you speak Urdu, I'm sure. माँ के पैर के नीचे जन्नत, अल्लाह का साया, बाप का साया, अल्लाह की नेमत. So, under the feet of of the mother lies heaven. And having a father around is a great blessing. And I can tell you that because I lost my father, as you heard. I was 1.5 or 2 years old. But just coming back to that what do we have? What power do we have? Which home we are born? What deen was in it? Who were our parents? Who are our siblings? Who are we going to marry? How many children we're going to have? And then we come to the second part. Which country we are going to die in? Are we going to die in a hospital, a hospice, or in an air crash, in the battlefield, blown up by these crazies that are going around the world? We don't know. So when you're born, you don't know, you have no choice. Where you're going to die, you have no choice. So these are the two constants that I came to understand when I was very young. Because my father had died, my grandmother died, and my little sister was born 6 months later. And I was a little toddler at that time, just could hardly walk. But somebody had taken my cot, and I was more worried about that. And then they took her away after a month, and I discovered when I became 4 or 5 that she had passed away. My mother was expecting when my father passed away, so she was upset. And right in front of my eyes, when I was 7 or 8, my grandmother, who played with me, loved me, made food for me, died. So I was seeing all these people popping away, just going. So I realized by 10 that you're born and then you're going to die. So life, to me, is a miracle. Death is going back to what we belong to. Whom we came from, we go back to him. As the Quran says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So we do not belong in this world. We're here for a short time. This is what we call a suffer. We are all suffering, and if we hold hands, it makes it easier. If we embrace each other, it makes it easier. So that brings me to another point, that when I came to these two constants of you have no power when you're born and you have no power when you die, but you do have the power in between to make goodness your companion or to make evil your companion. I went a long life, by the time I was in my early teens, I lost my brother who was in his prime at 29 in an air crash. I lost 6 sisters, 4 brothers, 3 sister-in-laws, brother-in-laws, nephew, niece. I'm the only one of that generation standing. And I'm happy because I know, as Imam Tazwini was saying earlier, am I ready to die? Yes. Because every night my prayer before I sleep is, if you want to take me, please don't make me muhtaj of anybody. Take me while I'm sleeping. I don't know how that will turn out, but it's a lovely prayer. When I wake up in the morning, the first phone call I get, and there are plenty, how are you? Alive and well. As Ali ibn Abu Talib, salawat, said that the 3 things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give you is health, piety, and patience. Inna Allah ma sabarin. With patience, how much we endure and we can overcome. And from there, my life began. I left Pakistan when I was 17 and a half. I went to Italy. From there on, I went to Europe and UK. I was actually an international polo player. And so I was playing polo with, I shouldn't be saying these names, but with the royalties in England and Prince Charles and the Sultan of Brunei and all these things. And my business was doing very well, mashallah. I was young in late 20s, prime of my youth. But you know, the Argentinian polo players are the best in the world. They're telling, why don't you come to Argentina? We'll make you professional and you're good. And you know, whatever goes with it, you know, the limelight. I thought about it. And honestly, for me, that was not what it was. Because what was embodied in me was the compassion from my mother, the DNA of my father. And that was to serve people. While I do my business, I take action and do whatever I can. I'm not a scholar, I'm not an imam, I'm just a very ordinary person. I just got lucky in life. And when Rahat Hussain, who I've known very well, introduced me, he said, Muslim Lakhani. But my real name is Muslim Mistake Lakhani. I make so many mistakes. This morning I made a mistake. I was late, waking up. I was trying to figure out, I went into the shower and I put on the cold water instead of the hot. So I mean, you know, the mistakes that you make, you know, we are humans. That's why we say, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most merciful and the most compassionate. So we make mistakes, we ask Him for forgiveness, and if our niyat is good, He does forgive you. So when these guys were asking me, and I was in my prime, that should I move on and go and become a professional polo player and become a celebrity, or I prayed, and I've been praying since I was young because that was the only thing I had. I'd lost my father, and then I lost my mother, I lost everybody. My faith became stronger. I read the Quran by myself. I read, and it spoke to me differently every time I read it. I must say I read it in English. I didn't know how to read Arabic, but may Allah forgive me. But what I'm trying to say here is that I never looked for the limelight. I looked for the divine light. The divine light, the nur in my ruh. I looked for the divine light for my soul. That is food for my soul. And that helped me. That became my compass. And that guided me and shone light to me to where I should go. And here I am standing here today, not worthy of standing in front of all of you, worthy of all the scholars and the imams. But here I am. But, you know, so coming back to the two constants that we know, that we don't have anything to do with life. We don't have anything to do with where we're going to die or what, but we have the choice of trying to do good. I've been reaching out, like most of you, to the interfaith. I have rabbis who are friends, Christian, Baha'i, everybody. We're all fellow human beings. We all pray to the same God. But the interfaith, which is very important. We're Muslims. My name is Muslim. Means I've completely submitted to the one God, Aslam, in Arabic. I've given up only to that one God. So we must try to work on the interfaith. We read from the same Quran. We read the same ayats. For me, one of the most beautiful ayats that I read when I was young that stuck with me was Surah Al-Imran, I think it was verse 66, which said, "O people, you argue about the little you know. What are you going to argue about what you don't know? Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. So why am I arguing? I just do what I feel what is good for me and what is good for the other. If I can give a helping hand, because I know that life is not life is transient. What is money? Look at all the people around, the dictators and the rulers and the leaders from our part of the world. One of them could not even find a 6 feet by 4 feet with all the wealth to be buried in. We should learn a lesson from this, that we came with nothing and we will go back with nothing. That I know. Because when we are born, the doctor or the nurse who delivers us washes us and wraps us in a cloth and hands us to our mother, who then rejoices with the rest of the family. And what happens when we die? We wash the body, we wrap it in a cloth, and we put it down to Mother Earth. That's what happens. In between, doesn't matter. If you do good, people may remember you or may not remember. As long as your intent is good, as long as you feel good, do it. That's what I believe in, my personal belief. Coming back to, again, the Quran, the beautiful verse which says, "O mankind, I made you into so many tribes, so many different people, so that you may come to know each other, and you may learn to live with each other." So what it reminds you of, that there were, from the time of Adam and from the time when we came around from the first prophet, Zoroaster, to maybe even Socrates, who's looking for the one God, right down to Abraham, to Hazrat Ibrahim, Hazrat Musa, Hazrat Isa, and our Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Alabad. So yesterday I was extremely moved. I left Pakistan when I was 17 and a half, 18. I watched the Mahdi program last night. It brought tears to my eyes. I had gone away. What came back was how beautifully it was done, but more than that, about the matam I did, the zanjeer that I put on my back. So I may do different things, but I am what I am. I'm very comfortable in the skin I'm born in. I was born, because of God's will, in a Muslim home, in a Shia home. I'm comfortable. My friend here was born in a Sunni home, and he's very comfortable. My other friends are born in Jewish homes, Christian homes, Ba'i homes, Parsi homes, whatever homes. So when you open yourself up, you embrace each other. And believe me, life becomes easier. Life becomes, actually, you're here, life is a miracle. It is to be lived. And live with embracing our fellow human beings. And just holding hands and making this life, as I said here, that while we are here, can we sow some seeds of hope? Because the many came and many will come. I may not be standing here another time. So let me end by saying here that, because Rahat has just handed me a chit by saying I got 5 minutes, and I need some coffee. So I just want you to know that in the end, I just want to tell you that the name Muslim my father gave me. What is in a name? A lot. I have been a butt of jokes, so I got a great sense of humor. And let me just share some of the fine jokes with you that I remember running up into this reception, and I think it was the Thai embassy or something. Second secretary lady was standing there receiving. And I was in a hurry, so I ran up and I said, "Hi, I'm Muslim." And she said, "Hello, I'm Buddhist." So, I just walked away. I'd had so many jokes, I just didn't. But you know what happened? She found out from her ambassador who I was, and she came to me and she said, "I'm so sorry, I didn't know." I said, "That's okay. Look, it made you find out who I was. And now we can have a conversation." I mean, when I was in Italy, I came to London with all the, on the cheap flight, the cheapest that you could find. I was a young man, didn't have much money. I was with all these peasants, Hungarians, Italians, they were farmers, and there I was standing there, and this woman was, the British, they're very polite, was stamping the passports, and I handed her my Pakistani passport at that time. She looked at me totally puzzled, and she said, "Speak English?" I said, "Little." She said, "Sir, not your religion, your name." I said, "Madam, my father thought I wouldn't be very bright, so he gave me 2 for 1. So I would remember, my religion is Muslim and I am a Muslim. My name is Muslim." And she started laughing, and we both started laughing. And, so the butt of jokes went on, but the funniest was after 9/11. Imagine having a name Muslim. 4 months later, I arrived in the United States. I was running an oil company in Egypt. I was heading it, and I was going off to a board meeting. And as I arrived in Washington to leave my wife and kids, and the guy looked at my passport. They were going to join me later. And he looked at me again, looked at that, looked at the screen. "Your name is Muslim?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Wait a minute." He said, "Hey, Joe, come on here. You got to see this to believe it, man." So he shows him my passport. The guy looks at me. He said, "Nah, he can't be. He's got to be real. He's a nice guy. Welcome, sir. Come on in." But the fact is, I had the opportunity every time I sat in the plane. Every time. I remember one time when this, a lady was sitting next to me. We started talking before the takeoff, and we started chatting and laughing and about the weather and stuff like that, and where she was going. She was going to Denver. I was catching a connecting flight. And when we took off and the seat belt was taken off, or you could take it off, we could take it off. And she said, "By the way, my name is Jane." I said, "Hi, Jane." She said, "I didn't get your name." I said, "I didn't give it." She said, "So what is it?" I said, "Fasten your seatbelt. You promised me you're not going to run into the cockpit and tell him who I am." She started laughing. So I told her my name is Muslim. I am from Pakistan and I'm not a Taliban. So, before Shah Rukh Khan said it. Anyway, but, this is what life is all about. You've got to have a sense of humor. You've got to enjoy it. You've got to find the middle part. I know for a lot of the young people here living in the United States, it's not easy. I know for the parents, it's not easy because you like your rituals, like I do. You bring your, as the kids would say, they bring their baggage. I was born here. Man, what are they trying to do to me? I mean, I speak at universities, and they kind of talk to me, and I say, look, they don't bring baggage. They bring their memories. To them, their memories, like one day when you get older, those memories are going to be very, very powerful for you. So treat them with kindness. Oh, okay. I'm being told I should. But look, before I leave, I just want you to know that all the volunteers, the young man who picked me up at the airport, we were waiting for a car or something, and the passion that he had. I said, follow your passion, young man. Khadija, who looked after me when I came, I don't know, God bless her, she made everything look so easy. The founder is sitting right here, Dr. Shah and Rahat. By the way, Rahat and I, and Isna was behind us with Adams. We did the first, we became activists. We did the first, in front of the White House, we did a march against ISIS. And I want to end it on that. We live once. We're not going to allow these people to tell us how to live. And let me tell you, that day, we really, really were real activists. It reminded me of my young days. And I want to tell you that we were talking about from Peshawar, what I saw the young man last night, to Paris, from Beirut to Baghdad, from Mali to Bali. I mean, it went on, and it goes on. So I asked a military friend of mine in the United States, I just also want to tell you that the young men and women in uniform from the United States who go and lose their lives, what have we done? We've added conflicts. Have we lessened any conflicts? None. We're confusing more and more. The reason, there are plenty. This is not the stage to do it, and I'm running out of time. But let me tell you, we've just made our Facebook. We've been self-funded so far. As like any business that I do, I like to take the risk out of it, rebuild it, and we're going to open it up so that it can be yours. $5, $10, whatever you want to do. Forget about me, what I did. So with that, I just want to tell you, follow your passion. Don't be afraid. You're going to live once, but you're not going to live like a rat. You're going to die like a lion or a lioness. Thank you. God bless you. Assalamu alaikum. And God bless America. Thank you. Thank you very much. You can take your 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Thank you very much to Brother Muslim Lakhani. An inspiration not only for the UMAA team, but I think for our entire community. The work he's doing is at the next level and is the next step that our community collectively needs to take with each other. The organization he was mentioning is called ML Social Vision. You can check it out on Facebook. We've referenced it on the UMAA Facebook as well. You can gain a lot more information.